Thanks, Ron. Can you hear me well?
Hear you just fine, and the screen looks great.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you so much. So, welcome everyone. Really excited to be here talking about managing and protecting cloud-native applications in a multi-cloud world. Listening to Jamie's talk and Elizabeth's talk before mine, it's very evident that data is being created everywhere, whether it's, at the edge, whether it's in a core data center or in cloud environments. And it's being created, and it's a natural necessity because of which you end up doing or creating data everywhere. And as a result, the need, as Jamie was mentioning, of having the application and data close together, or the need to move your applications across, maybe from one environment to another environment, may be required, whether it is for cost reasons or performance reasons. So I think that actually gives a very good segue into the conversation that we are going to have today as to how Trillio enables you to manage and handle all of that. So before jumping in, this is a slide I like to present to introduce Trillio, who Trillio is as an organization. So we are the leading cloud-native data protection platform. We support solutions like OpenStack, Red Hat Virtualization, and Kubernetes as well. We were founded about 8 years ago. We are a global organization with engineering, sales, services all across the globe, with customers in various industry verticals, whether it's defense, automotive, telco, MSPs, and many more. We have a broad partner ecosystem in terms of who we work with, and as a solution, we have been tested, validated by the industry experts at Red Hat, SUSE Rancher, VMware, and IBM. Now, what does Trillio enable you to do? Right. So what you see in front of you right now is our management console, and we'll take a deeper look at that in a few minutes. But what we know is that there are multiple Kubernetes distributions out there, and Trillio is completely distribution agnostic. So whether you have your clusters running in any of the hyperscalers, or you have it running on a specialized platform like OpenShift or SUSE Rancher, Trillio can work out of the box anywhere. So right off the bat, the disparate environments, that issue is getting highly minimized because of the cloud native aspect of Trillio and the Kubernetes native aspect of how the overall Trillio solution is built. So no matter where your clusters are running, you can deploy Trillio. Now, the second aspect of the TrilioVault solution is that we are completely storage agnostic. No matter what the underlying storage is in your, let's say your cloud environments or your edge environments, Trillio will interface with that storage via CSI. CSI is the container storage interface that is used within Kubernetes environments. So all we do is we talk to CSI, which in turn enables us to talk to the underlying storage that the application is using. Along with that, where we allow you to capture an application and store it, we allow S3 compatible devices as well as NFS based devices to store all your point-in-time captures. Now again, you can have your Kubernetes clusters running as managed environments within your cloud providers, or it could be self-hosted. No matter where you are running, no matter where your cloud is, whether it's private cloud, public cloud, multi-cloud, hybrid cloud, however you kind of define it, Trillio has you covered. And then finally, your applications themselves, they may be packaged in different formats. You may be managing your applications by namespaces, or you may be segregating them by labels, or you may be using Helm charts or operators to manage your overall application workload. Trillio supports all of that. So not only can we capture your applications by namespaces or by labels, but we provide native integration to protect your Helm charts and your operator-based applications running in your environment. So overall, net, when you look at this, that with your, even though you may have a multi-cloud or a hybrid cloud environment, Trillio will easily fit into that space and enable you to manage your application, manage your data across these different environments as one unit. Okay, so very powerful, and enables a lot of different scenarios and use cases. So this is a slide I like to present to overall explain how Trillio does its captures and restores in general. So what you can see is at the top of the screen you have Kubernetes cluster 1. You have next at the bottom of the screen you have Kubernetes cluster 2. Now cluster 1 and cluster 2 are connected to each other via a backup repository. The cloud icon that you see on the right hand side of the screen, that is how these two clusters communicate. They have a single source of truth. That is where all the application captures or your point in time captures are kept. Now, a user can basically capture an entire namespace or a cluster or a specific application from a namespace, put that into the centralized repository, and then from that same centralized repository, they can restore it into the same cluster. Maybe they want to overwrite what they already had, or they may want to move it to another cluster. Maybe it's for test dev activities, or maybe it's actually a migration play. Whatever may be the use case, Trillio allows you to move from any Kubernetes compatible cluster to any other Kubernetes compatible cluster. Okay, so as a result, a lot of different use cases get enabled, and we'll jump to the application lifecycle as to how Trillio enables that within Kubernetes as well. But out here, I'm going to take a quick segue and move into our demo portion, where we will look at Trillio running in EKS, and then we'll try to kind of migrate it to K3S environment to our SUSE Rancher. Okay, I'm just going to move into my demo environment. So what you see in front of you here is the TrilioVault management console. On the left-hand side panel is where you connect your clusters. I have the primary cluster here, which is an EKS cluster, and then I have my edge cluster, which is a K3S cluster. And what we'll do is we will simulate or emulate something to move an application from the EKS cluster into the K3S cluster. In the middle of the screen, we show you all the namespaces. If you want to capture namespaces, you can just select namespace and capture it that way. Or if you want to view applications running within the namespaces, you can do that as well, if you want to cherry pick what you want. Everything is context driven. So right now, if I click on this namespace, you'll see that there are some backups already available over here. But in the just for demonstration purposes, we will go ahead and create another backup of this namespace, and I'll just call this Angelbeat some one, and I will click save. And what this will do is it will go ahead and start off the overall backup process. Now, obviously, the backup may take a few minutes. I do not want to wait here while that completes. We let the backup progress. We can see that it is in progress. In the meantime, we can move to our K3S cluster. And what we'll do here is we will look at the target. Again, think of the cloud icon that I was showing earlier. This is where we are going in. We will launch a browser into that repository. And what we'll do is we'll use a backup that I had done a few days ago and use that to demonstrate the restore process as well. Just in the interest of time, we are using a pre-created backup to perform the restore. Okay, so from a restore perspective, I'm just going to call this restore Angelbeat. Namespace restore NS2 is what I have created. I'm just going to use this flag skip if already exists. If there's any kind of random objects written over here, I do not want to overwrite it, so I'm going to do a skip if already exists. I'm going to click next. Now, one of the biggest things is I have storage difference between my EKS cluster and my K3S cluster. Right? So the storage entities being used underneath the scenes are different. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go into my transformation, here is where I can transform any resource that I want before I restore it. Okay, so I'm going to take the object that was found. The data object was MariaDB object. I'm going to call this T1, and I am going to replace the storage class name with CSI hostpath SC. Okay, so this will basically make it make sure that when I do restore the application, it uses that different storage class that's available on the micro Kubernetes cluster. Okay, click apply, save. This should start off the overall restore process. As part of the restore process, we will capture everything from this centralized repository and replay it back into the clusters. So right now you see that the backup that we had created, that's available, and then sometime the restore also will be available. We will come back to that in a few minutes, and what we'll do is we'll just complete, while that's happening in the background, the remaining slides that I have. So now that you saw that Trillio is able to capture your application from any environment and then replay that into any different environment that you may have. And as a result of this capture restore feature or operations that we provide, a lot of different use cases are enabled, directly from your day 0 to your day 2 angle. So if you think about your day 0, this is, from the developer's perspective. What developers can do now is they can take your, production data and start testing with that as part of their CI/CD process. Right? You can eliminate issues that you generally encounter while launching your application in production very early on by using Trillio as part of your infrastructure as code to bring the production copy of the data into an environment where you can test. Similarly, once you have your applications running in production, assuming that you're using tools like GitOps, you can not only protect your GitOps tool, which is basically managing all the rest of your applications, but you can also do things like capture drift. If you're using GitOps, and things change within the cluster, and from a compliance perspective, you want it to be event driven to capture any movement from the desired state, you can do that as well. And then finally, from a day 2 angle, protecting your applications, whether it's ransomware kind of issues, or if you want to do backup and recovery for data corruption kind of issues, disaster recovery if you want to restore an entire environment elsewhere, or migration reasons if it's for performance, cost, or whatever it may be. So Trillio has you covered, end to end throughout all these different domains. So what we'll do next is we'll quickly look at what's happening as part of our demo over here. And we will go back into the home screen. Let's give it a couple of seconds. We look at the restore summary. Now we don't have anything here because I haven't selected the right cluster. This one is still in progress. We can look at the YAML. Seems that it's getting updated and it is restoring. Just going to look at the pods on my end. Okay, so it's just about finishing up the restore. I just checked on the CLI, so we can just give it a few more minutes to complete. Okay, but in the interest of time, I'll go and finish off my last slide. Thank you all for watching. For more information around how Trillio is doing all of these things, you can definitely go on to Trilio.io and watch additional videos and demonstrations that we have. You can digest a lot of different data sheets, additional webinars and things that we have done around these different use cases, and watch it all in action. Okay, And we'll just take a look at our demo to make sure it's all going smooth. Still in progress. Give it a couple of seconds. Ron, any questions in the meantime while I'm waiting for this to complete?
No, I think people are just trying to take it all in. I think it is interesting to see how relatively easy it is to get these solutions in place, and it's good that you're providing some deployment scenarios so people could try it out. And again, if people have questions, well, how does this work with my particular architecture? How does it work with my data that might cut across multiple cloud providers on-prem? The good thing, and I know Prashanto has been a great help to many organizations who have been involved with Angelbeat in the past, just saying, okay, here's where we fit, here's where we can configure this. So, these are great resources on any number of things, both in terms of dealing with ransomware recovery, interaction and integration of your security, storage, and compliance initiatives.
Good. Thanks, Ron. And just for to provide my closing comment, this is the data source that we were editing. We made sure that it gets created on the new storage class that we have in the micro-K8s cluster, and it was done about 3 minutes 18 seconds ago. So it is the exact volume that we were dealing with as part of the overall demo. So with time, eventually this will complete, but this is the piece that I wanted to cover, showing that how Trillio is able to not only move your applications across, but also transform them to align with the destination environments wherever we are going to.